Hello.
Hello. We
Today,
have returned.
yes, we are here again. And
Yes, we're still not
unfortunately,
experts.
unfortunately, um well, we are a little bit less expert today
Yes.
because, well, basically we had what do you call it? Like celebrating our Freedom Day, pretty much.
Uh, yeah, we probably should provide context with this. It was in the like we started the 4th of May, where we have kind of a Remembrance Day where we're quiet for 2 minutes. Alright, like at 8, we're just like it is kind of cool to witness. Kinda, it is like everybody's quiet. And yeah, the day after that, the 5th of May, it's kind of celeb. Like first we remember everybody that died, and then we just celebrate.
Yes, pretty much.
It was chaos, kinda. At least in my town, it was kind of really busy.
Not really for me, to be honest.
Yeah, but you live in the
Uh,
middle of nowhere.
but one thing that means is that Lubach didn't have a show.
Because you didn't have your primary news source anymore.
Yeah, but that's fine because last time I actually forgot to talk about something. So, because we were talking about dumb decisions by our politicians again. So, when will we ever run out of content like that? Probably never. Because I got more. So, last, government. They had to, make a plan for, like, the climate and stuff to make it better. In terms of, like, my brain is blacking out for some reason. What's it called again? Freaking CO2, right? Like
Yeah,
the carbon.
emissions and all that stuff.
Yes. So, and they came with the plan to, or at least part of the plan, was to sell, like, buy out farmers because they have a lot of emissions. So, then this, this government happened, and our,
Sadly.
and they immediately threw that plan out the window, and then they did nothing. They stalled. And then eventually the judge was like, okay, you need to have a plan before this time because of, like, European law and stuff, right? Because of European
Yeah.
agreements. So, right before they came with their plan. And I want you to guess the plan.
The severe like thereof, I guess.
Almost, but no.
The plan to do nothing.
Well, that is certainly part of it. But it's slightly more incompetent than that.
Actively ruin the environment, like they've been doing.
No, okay. So what they're gonna do is they're gonna buy out farmer.
Hmm.
You know, like the last Like the plan that they just threw in the bin.
We have this
Except,
plan.
yeah, except now with a much smaller budget.
So we have this plan that we didn't like. So instead, we gone with the same plan that we didn't like.
Yeah, but they all act
But
as if they're like really proud of it and like it's this massive step forward.
that is typical of this government, isn't it? Just we have the same that have been thrown up by earlier governments.
Yeah.
Let's completely ruin it by going with the plans that have been thrown out,
Yeah.
and then immediately go with the whole plan and be done. Then say, yeah, let's say we did it. We fixed it.
Yep.
Like that's their tactic. Just go with the plan that doesn't work, then say we fixed your thing, and then think that everything is suddenly okay, even though it very much isn't. So yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, they did that,
Again.
and that was my that was the thing I forgot last time.
The incompetence of the government, which honestly is nothing new.
Yeah, no.
Like, not even with like the Dutch government. All governments suddenly seem to be very incompetent.
I don't know. I don't really follow too much in other countries. I know there was some stuff with like a French person who like gave money that was supposed to go somewhere else to personal security, like government money for personal security.
Yeah, but it turns out that pretty much all politicians, and maybe not all of them, but a lot of them, just put a lot of money into their own pockets that is supposed to go to the government, because, well, technically they are the government. Which means that technically they're not wrong. Technically.
No, they are.
Because they are the government, so the money is still going to the government, but it's going to the wrong pockets. So, yeah. There should still be, we should just be able to kind of say, well, how about no? How about we actually get to have money in the government and have it spent competently?
Yeah. Speaking of competently using money.
Your PC parts.
Oh no, that was a competent choice though.
Yes, that was a competent choice.
I meant the other.
Oh yeah, the auction with a lot. I came across an auction which had a lot of, computers that are being sold, and there are no bids on it. It's still open for 5 days. But
so, if you would want your own computer, put it in the comments. If we win,
you know how much shipping that's gonna be?
Yeah, you pay shipment.
Yeah, shipping it will be difficult because, there is this little thing called shipping costs. And I don't really want to pay them because, yeah. And also just, NSPs don't have a BIOS, you don't have any cables with them as well. It is basically a very much bare bones PC. It's like for those tiny desktops you get in an office that will happily run any Microsoft Office program like Word, PowerPoint, or Excel. But as soon as you put a heavy load on it, it just crashes. It just doesn't. It's one of those PCs. Like those micro ones. But yeah, you can buy 194 of them. Which is a lot.
Yes.
Like,
So, if you're in the market for PCs, check out a Dutch website, I guess.
yeah, you have to either ship it from the Netherlands,
I
which
wonder
will
if you
cost
even...
money as
Oh,
well.
it's already opened now. I wonder if you even can.
I'm sure there are, I think you have to have at least somebody you can do it with. Like you would need contacts here in the Netherlands for at least the shipping. So that you can send it to somebody that will then send it to you abroad. Because you will have it, otherwise there will be people that are. I mean, unless you can find international, unless you can find international shipping, there is a very small chance. But it's likely that it's, yeah. Unless you're in the Netherlands, you're not gonna get it.
I don't know why we brought this up, but
Because it's kind of funny. That's the
yeah.
thing.
So, you know. Other than that, I don't really know what happened this week other than remembering the dead. Apparently there was like an activist there, which I guess they didn't show that on camera, which is good.
Yeah.
Like it was like a Palestine activist, which
Oh
like,
no, that happened on the 5th. Indeed, yeah. That was kind of
oh, was that not during the...
no, no. That was surprisingly quiet at that point.
Oh, I did watch it, but I would not be surprised if they don't show if something like that happens, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But anyway,
Yeah, it was.
it was like, it was a Palestine activist, which like I haven't heard about that war in a while. I don't know what the status is right now. But
Me neither, because I
um
haven't been following it that close.
but like I why can I not speak? I have a
Because words are
podcast, I can't
difficult.
speak. For yesterday while I was recording a video I couldn't read even though I had literally been writing the past 4 weeks. What happened?
I put it on a skill issue.
Yes. But basically
A
just
major one.
whatever side you're on that war, like just both are like, I don't know how do I say this? Both sides have merits. Put it that way. A war is never just one.
Yeah. I mean, everything has two sides. It is just that often there are I mean, in rare cases, there's a good and a bad side. It's often pretty much depends on your beliefs and everything. But there are certain things. I think I've only studied this war a little bit, but yeah, I've researched a little bit, and it's not really that. It, it's just both sides need to stop, basically. Sort of
Well,
pointless.
okay. What I do know the backstory behind it, or at least a part of it. Um, and I do know that it's actually England's fault.
Yeah, it's basically the case of I think everybody wanted a piece of land. The British and other countries were like, "Yeah, let's just split it up," and I'm sure it won't be a problem at all if we split this land up that everybody wants.
Well,
But
it's
turns out they got mad about it.
it's slightly more complicated than that.
Yeah, but it's a
Uh,
simplistic version.
Basically, after World War II, it was kind of like, well, the Jews really need a place to belong. Because, like, throughout history, the Jews have just been fucked all the time.
Yeah.
You know, like, the Romans, they were fine with it so long as you paid your taxes, but, you know, they were also the Romans. Um, then, you know, you know, it was just bad. And then England was like, you know what? We'll give them Palestine to live there. That's like their holy land and stuff. One issue with that, it's the holy land for two other religions. And they did
Yeah,
not
because
like England did not own Palestine at the time.
it's three religions fighting over the same piece of land.
Yes. But Palestine was not owned by England. And yet they were just like, here, take this land.
Although that is typically British, isn't it?
Maybe, I don't know. Is it?
Basically, like, yeah, here, have something that we definitely didn't steal or do not own. That's pretty much how the UK was, how the United Kingdom was. It surprises me how it's al it's always the British. Like it's either British or the French. Like throughout history, they've basically had the most beef. Just if the British and the French fighting it over, and then well, you do see how the UK's going right now. It's not that good. They kind of have their own problems, such as being British.
Oh, I got enter. I'm dumb.
What?
I was like, why is the door not open? But I don't have the things. So
Why's the door open? Have you tried opening it?
well, I can't. I don't have the key basically. Um. Anyway. What else happened? There.
Well, the EU wants to get rid of Russian gas, which
Oh yeah,
is
but that
understandable.
wasn't that already a while ago that they wanted that, and then they just didn't.
Yeah, but you know, governments and their incredible competence.
Yeah, you know that topic that we've talked about 4 times now
Yeah,
in a row.
probably gonna. It's not the first one. It's definitely not gonna be the last time.
Probably
But they
not.
don't want to do. They want to do it like not in one go. They want to just eventually get rid of it.
I'll bring the
Which is
chainsaw noises back if we have to talk about it next week again. Actually, no, I won't. No, I won't.
let's see.
Because that's just a bad experience for everyone involved.
What else do we have?
Mostly us.
Hmm.
Wait, did I already
Fuel
do
prices
this?
are going down, which for anybody owning a car is good news because cheaper fuel is always better in my opinion. Because the cheaper the fuel, the more we can drive at the same price. The environment doesn't like it because obviously, but yeah, driving is fun. Although for some people, they can forget to apply the handbrake or undo the handbrake. I mean, I've done it as well. You try to kind of where you like you try to leave, but the car doesn't want to go. So you kind of end up almost stalling if you drive a manual, because it can pretty much only happen if you're driving a manual or an older automatic.
Yeah.
Because newer automatics just have systems built in that automatically get rid of the handbrake when you put it in drive. But if they realize, like, why isn't the car going? And then you look down towards the handbrake, and then you realize it's still up, which means it's still on. Then you facepalm, put it down so it's no longer holding your car, and then you can finally drive off.
Pretty much.
Or you ask your friends, like, what does this light mean?
Well, that was the episode. Goodbye.
You're never living that one down.
Why do I have two friends that never stop about my fucking car driving? Which is fine. Like, my car driving is fine.
Your car driving is fine
Now.
Emphasis on now. I mean,
And I have one
as well.
And I have one lady friend who won't make me forget. Who won't allow me to forget that I forgot her name. After knowing her like 4 years.
Yeah.
I can explain how that happened.
Well, then explain.
Her name on like Discord and things was not her real name. And I put her, for the joke, I put her under that name everywhere. But because of that, after we didn't speak for a while, I forgot her real name.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a fun conversation with her.
And about the driving. Like, my driving, especially in the start, I was basically jerking away at every single traffic light. You know, when you have to... Because here in the Netherlands, a lot of us drive manual. That is just how we do it here. But the problem you run into with that, especially for beginners, is you will stall a lot. And with a lot, I mean a lot of stalling. Like, or what I did, you kind of try and get away, but you just jerk the car. Like, the car just jerks a lot.
Yeah.
And it's kind of... It's just suffering in the beginning, and it's not great when you have passengers, but eventually over time, things start to improve, things start to function.
Yeah.
You actually start doing a couple more things. And I do have the ability to sometimes shift with my left hand. Like, wasn't it the last time I drove when I had to make a turn, but I was kind of stopped, so I was trying to get away, but I was in the wrong gear. So while turning with my right hand, my left hand moved towards the stick and shifted. And I think the person in the other car saw and was just confused about my driving, which, to be honest, understandable.
Oh. I can't
Like,
go.
completely
Wait.
understandable.
Yeah, probably.
That my driving is not that good. But honestly, I don't have the opportunity to actually drive. It's not often that I can. It's not often that I can drive because, well, I don't really have a car. Or at least I do have one, but it's not It's non-functional at the moment. And we just pulled the engine out of it, so I don't think I'll be able to drive it anytime soon, considering we figured out that there are oil leaks. A lot of them, like there's somewhere from the engine it's leaking oil. Like, I don't know where, but it's leaking oil somewhere. And there's a lot of welding that needs to be done. We're finding more and more holes that are not supposed to be there.
Oh, that's always great.
It's kind of annoying. What? Why do I hear Smug laughing?
Well, you can see the monitor. Right, I have a bow, right?
Yeah. Well, I guess, yeah.
But
Yeah, that was basically the bit about driving and
yeah,
how
pretty much.
bad you suck
Wait.
within the first couple of years of doing it, because obviously you suck at driving when you first start out. You like experience, and as a basic, like within the US it's very different, but here in Europe you basically learn manual. There are more and more people that don't, but it is on your license. But they do you do get a different license if you learn how to drive in an automatic car than a manual one.
Wait, do they?
Yes, if you learn in an automatic, you are not allowed to drive manuals. The other way around is.
Oh, I didn't know that, but I didn't know that actually said it on your thing.
It does say it on your driver's license because it makes it a lot easier to recognize.
Yeah, no, it makes sense.
And a lot less complicated for police to say, did you learn to drive in a manual or not, or did you learn to drive in an automatic? That's a lot more complicated than just,
Yeah.
can I see your license?
Yeah.
No. Yeah, yes, you can see the license. Oh, it says automatic. Oh, that car's a manual. You are not allowed to drive. Step out of the car.
Yeah.
But within the US, it is a lot of... well, a lot of people are learning how to drive with a automatic. Manuals are very rare, but then again, the US is so car dependent that a lot of people use cars just to go to A to B, and that's pretty much how we do it here as well. But we have like usually sub 1 hour travel times if you go to work. Like we don't have to travel like multiple hours to reach our job. We just
Yeah,
travel
most of us, yeah.
a maximum of an hour. Like that is overall recommended for for people, but I speak from experience. You do want less than an hour of travel time towards your job. Otherwise, you're just gonna be running into trouble with your mental health as well. Where all you do is just try and keep yourself sane while you're just struggling with work. Like, sure, you can work for 8 hours, but if you have to travel an hour to an hour from, you're basically working 10 hours. Nobody likes to work 10 hours a day. Especially if you have to leave early, like I had to leave at 6:45, which was already really annoying, and then I came back around 5:15 in the afternoon. And you do like every 5 minutes in the morning, you can continue to sleep is a big win.
Yes.
I don't know, you've experienced it, but if you can actually sleep for maybe, even if it's 15 minutes, those 15 minutes do matter. It also doesn't help that I stayed up too late and only slept for 4 hours for a lot of the nights, which is also not good for your health, both physically and mentally, because you'll be tired all the entire time. And I don't drink coffee, which for some people is surprising. Same thing with alcohol, because for some reason not drinking alcohol requires an explanation, but drinking alcohol doesn't. Like, sure, explain why you don't want to drink this brain damaging drink.
Yeah.
And then I have to basically explain, yeah, I'm not, I just say I'm not interested. Because I'm not that interested in consuming alcohol. Why would I want to be? Other better drinks exist. Although I haven't tried any alcohol at all.
Only in tiramisu.
Yeah, only in cooking. But that's pretty much, it often dissolves. So the tiramisu maybe not, but I can remember in the elderly home where my grandma was, they would give them some like dessert with alcohol, just every time there was alcohol involved. It's like everybody was like, yeah, these elderly people will sleep nicely tonight. Because while you're in an elderly home, either they have dementia and don't remember a lot of it, or they just cannot take care for themselves anymore. And it doesn't really matter that alcohol doesn't really matter anymore.
I don't know. Maybe? Does alcohol not matter anymore when you... I mean, you still get drunk, but like...
Yeah, you still got drunk, but in a care home, it's often... Well, it's not really that... You know, they're under supervision anyway.
Yeah, I guess.
It's not like even if something were to happen, like they might trip, then it still doesn't matter at all. Like, oh no, I mean, it still matters, don't get me wrong, but it's a hospital is one call away. Anyway, well,
Yeah, true. We
at
don't
some
live in
point,
Australia.
yeah, at some point when my grandma was alive, was still alive, it's basically like she was in a lot of pain and needed to go to the hospital. But my mom had to eventually make 14 phone calls before it happened, which is bad. But at some point they just said we might as well just lay her on the floor and just say she's fallen and let the ambulance pick her up immediately. Like
Yeah.
that was at some point what they were actually considering. Just to lay her on the floor, tell her she's fallen, and yeah, that was to me was kind of funny. Like they were like, we know it's difficult. We could do this. We could just escalate it to she has fallen.
I have fallen and I can't get up.
Yeah. Basically that.
Well, you know, if that works.
If it gets hospital people closer, or an ambulance or other stuff. Because it's often, like, I don't know why it's so difficult, because elderly people are really fragile. Like, they might fall once, and it's immediately trouble. Like, immediately. They often break hips, then struggle to struggle to move, surgery takes a toll on them. Which is also kind of dangerous that surgery takes a toll on them because it often worsens their situation. Which is something you don't want to do.
Alright. You want to see an epic boss fight?
I'm just gonna look at some more news. Let's see. What else do we have?
I don't know. What else do we have?
Well, the government wants more people with disabilities to vote.
Wait,
But
do they not
I mean,
vote?
oh no. Like if the transit, but they don't want them. Of course, they want them to vote, but they don't want. But they have more people with disabilities behind. Like the count. Basically, more on the administrative side of it. Like instead of doing the voting, doing the actual.
Wait, why?
Like sitting.
Why?
And giving people their things, but I don't know why the government wants that, because well, those people will present themselves if they want to. If they want to or feel the need to do it, they will. They just have to give them an equal chance. But often if you have people with disabilities, it becomes a little bit of this situation where, yeah, you can.
Well, is it just for the image?
Probably. Oh, it should make them more reachable. I mean, it is a tactic. I understand what they're trying, because what they're actually trying to do, right? What they're trying to achieve is, if you put people with disabilities within those positions, then other people with disabilities are more likely to start voting because, well, they realize that they're being more represented, which is not really true. Well, it is true that you do have more of them, but it is good that they're trying to include them, because otherwise you end up with basically disabled people, basically removing disabled people's voices, and that is bad. Like, you should not do that. You should not be removing other people's voices, or, you know, a group, which
Yeah.
often still happens.
So, Zhu, are you gonna apply?
Not really. Administrative bullshit.
Should I apply?
Do you want to just...
No, honestly, I have other things to do. That my dad does the counting a lot, and it takes a long ass time.
Do you want to look at people's IDs?
No.
And then just tell them, yeah, this one is valid. Here, go ahead. You can have your... just... like, yeah, it's valid. Here, have your big ass piece of paper to vote. Because that it is what that is, basically.
Pretty much.
It is just like, here, have your big ass piece of paper that we are going to use, that you're going to put one single red dot on, and then walk away again after like a minute. Because if you do your research, you already know who you want to vote on. And then, yeah. But it's...
Pretty much.
I mean, it is kind of fun to vote, and often if I look on who you can actually vote on, I just look at...
Yeah, the day before you're gonna vote.
No, but I often just look at the funniest last names.
Oh my god. At least I actually look at what they do.
I just look for the funny... Like, of course, I look for the party that represents what I want the most, and I just go for the funniest last name. And often you look enough to also look at other parties to see what other funny last names are in there as well. Because you have to admit, there are some pretty funny last names.
Yeah,
Within the
sometimes.
government. And yeah.
Like, Scoof.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't really know of any funny ones right now, to be honest.
Yeah. Also, what's funny to me is still the tariffs for Trump. With the whole people, like, people thought that it's more of a thing, like, people in the US apparently thought that if we ask more money, if we ask an additional bit of money from countries to import stuff into our country, that it's going to give us more money, or we have to pay less. But then they actually thought that. But now they realize that they have to pay more.
Well, you know what the stupid part is? So
What?
obviously his calculation for it is just stupid. But do you know the
Yeah.
reason why? Or at least what he says is the reason.
No.
So he was like, for instance, cars, right? A lot of
Yeah.
cars in the US are made in Europe, whereas
Yeah.
we don't really use a lot of American cars, which just make good cars. Like there's your
Yeah.
solution. But
And also, we don't need big, massive SUV.
like obviously obviously that's just like stupid. But it also doesn't make any sense because we import a lot of people from the US and that's where, you know, so they get a lot of money back through that.
Yeah, but Trump looks at one thing and instead of thinking, hey, this may be related to something else, immediately jump to a conclusion. Because of course you have to immediately jump to conclusions instead of first thinking about a problem fully.
Oh,
Because that's just the way you do things, right?
I guess. Apparently I can just go beat the game.
You just immediately jump to conclusions instead of actually thinking about stuff thoroughly and then realizing that tariffs are stupid. But hey, in other good news for American cars, there are a couple of companies out there making small trucks again. And I don't mean the big tanks, literal tank-sized vehicles, because they are actually tank-sized. Like the bigger SUVs these days are the size of World War II tanks. But a couple of companies are making cars that actually are actually small enough, like the size of a Mini, a modern one at least, which are not tiny as well.
True.
Like, yeah, they
Oh,
are not as small as the original ones, but they are still way smaller than a lot of the big US, like Chevy Suburban, other like Ford F-150 or F-250. Like those things are massive. They're way oversized for what you actually. They just assume that every American family needs to be able to fit 7 people, be able to carry nothing because it's too big already.
do they not?
But the thing is, the bed sizes of pickup trucks have actually gotten smaller.
Okay.
Which is dumb because it's supposed to be it's supposed to be a little bit faster, like a little bit bigger. Just of course faster. The new ones are going to be faster. You're going to see an increase in performance, just because of technology as compared to the 90s.
Yeah.
But still, it's not really an excuse to, you know. But the reason that it happened was because of a couple of laws. I think the cafe standards that's called, and it is just they're closing a loophole that allowed exemptions for commercial trucks, which of course could exploit it to the max, because you just gave the ability to
Yeah.
you just told everybody to
Yeah.
get a big vehicle, and now a couple of companies are making smaller vehicles again. And those smaller vehicles are gonna be better because they're gonna have basically the same bed size. like
So
5. So one of them have like a 5-foot bed, which I don't know how much it is in centimeters, but or in meters, but it is basically the same size as those big modern trucks. And it's okay. Those other trucks are K trucks, which are small and actually fit. You know, you can fit them around smaller streets, and those might be they have a bigger chance of being exported here to Europe. Because, yeah, there's if you make a vehicle that is more made for these roads we have in Europe with tighter, just the tighter roads and the a little bit less space, the smaller streets, like all of that, then you will get more business because you're actually making things for Europe as well as for yourself. Because what American cars are not made for is Europe. It is really noticeable if a American vehicle is here in, for example, the Netherlands. I have seen a European station wagon where the roof was the same size as the hood of an American pickup truck. Those were the same height, actually.
I see.
That's just special.
Yeah, a little bit.
Because that just means that a lot of the vehicles are invisible if you drive those big trucks. Like they'll actually be invisible. And that is annoying. And it is well known actually that the like I think at some point I saw something about the front view for of oh, going back to the Ford F-150, where the view was actually worse than an M1 Abrams tank. So you have better front visibility than an actual tank.
Nice.
Like an actual armored vehicle with a gun on it.
Well, you know, visibility has never been a priority in warfare. You've seen Knight's armor. That's a joke, by the way. I know that you can see pretty good in a Knight's helmet.
And visibility is important because if you lack visibility, you will hit others and or yourself.
Well, the point is to hit others.
Yeah. It is. And the main complaint about those trucks is, I think from a video of Not Just Bikes, which is a good channel, you could put 11 small children in a row in front of them, in front of a modern pickup truck, and you will not be able to see any of those. And
I
I
have
don't know
I have
like
so
a lot
many
of
upgrades that the game is having trouble keeping up with my speed.
yeah, but like they have like a lot of child mortalities come from like actually come from children being hit on their own driveway by their own parents.
Wait, really?
Yeah. Which is not that good of a thing.
Yeah.
It is kind of messy and messed up that you could just, and of course, like, children are stupid. That's just a well-known fact. Our children are kind of dumb. They
Yes.
will be going for random gaps that you don't expect them.
Yeah.
And
Or
they will
in the
they
words
will
of
really just throw
Randy
themselves.
Feldface. What am I doing? In the words of Randy Feldface, children are fucking idiots.
Yeah. In case you didn't know, children will run in front of everything. Like your car, they will go in front. They are dumb enough to actually do that.
Oh, let me
And then
get
you'll
under.
really run into trouble. Because apparently if you had a child, first of all you damage the child, second of all you damage your vehicle, and third of all, you're gonna have mad parents and mad police. Because you hit a child.
I laugh because the music that's currently playing is the music for this area, but it's way too peaceful for what's so going on. But
Let's see if there's any ones.
I don't. I genuinely have no idea. I've not really followed.
Well, Ukraine is still going.
Oh, okay, yeah, I did know that.
Trump actually wanted a ceasefire for his parade. Because Trump wants his little parade, you know? He wants
Wait,
he wants he wants
Trump?
to have his
Where does he want the
not
parade?
Trump, Putin wants his
Oh,
I think
no,
Trump also wanted a parade, by the way.
I'm sure he does.
Like an actual military parade, which doesn't really sound very American.
Totally not. That doesn't remind me
Totally
of
not a good
any
thing.
other nation somewhere in Asia.
It's still not like Putin or anything, but Putin wants to have his little, Victory Day parade, right?
Yeah.
And he wants a ceasefire for that, because of course you want
But
a
what
ceasefire to prevent everybody from being harmed while you run a military parade
wasn't this a
through
while
your
ago?
capital. How much of a target does that sound like? You know, a massive military parade running through your capital while you're at war.
Yeah, but like
That's kind of sounds like a big risk to me. And he wants to actually, like, he's of course gonna put like the like citizens there, just, and then he says for humanitarian reasons he wants a ceasefire.
yeah.
But last time Putin wanted a ceasefire, he kind of broke the ceasefire immediately. And
Yeah.
Ukraine anticipated it. That was the funniest bit. Like Ukraine actually was like, "We're open for it, but if you try to do anything, it's immediately off." Less than a couple hours after that ceasefire was announced, Putin tried something, and the ceasefire was gone once again. So, yeah, that happened. And also, for any of the Dutch train nerds out there, or other train nerds near or around the Netherlands, there is like an older train is back in action, basically.
I see.
Because I think they had an overall shortage of train, so they solved it by basically loaning like an actual old train from the 60s. And weirdly enough, back then they really knew how to name their trains. Because the original designation is Mat 64. So you can guess what age it's from if it's Mat 64. It's material from 1964. If your trains are older than 100 years, or if you have trains, it can kind of mess it up a little bit.
Yeah.
Because if there were a train that would come out right now, you would have the Mat 24, but you already have a Mat 24. So that would mess things up, but hey, apart from that.
Right.
But yeah, I'm gonna be traveling with the one on Friday. And it's only in the morning, so it's gonna be a mess.
So, if you want to meet and greet bush person,
Go by train. You might catch me at some point.
yeah, because all of you are also following his Twitch channel and know what he looks like.
Yes. So far, I haven't been recognized yet.
Joel.
Which, of course, I haven't, because I'm not popular at all.
You can't.
What? What?
How many followers do you have right now?
I think around 90.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah. Not nearly enough to warrant anybody to recognize me. Unless I get really, 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 really lucky.
You can go to a convention. You can start your own convention.
Little do you know, I'm already going to TwitchCon in like a month.
I know, but you can start your own convention. I'm sure they'll all show up.
It's gonna require a lot of planning, right?
Nah.
I don't know if you know how much planning goes into into those events, but it's a lot of planning. That goes into actually putting it together. It's often a case of, have we thought about everything? Yes, things will still go wrong, and will still require different things to happen. Like a lot of unprepared improvisation needs to happen, because of course things are imminently gonna go wrong. It's imminent. You're gonna run into trouble.
Yeah.
But apart from that, I mean, but what other news is there? Not really a lot.
I think I'm just gonna go do the final boss, and then we're gonna end it.
You're just gonna do a final boss.
Yes. Apparently, I have the triple arrow. Okay, Jules, I unlocked the machine gun.
You can now.
Yeah,
You can
look.
now do machine gun
Watch,
stuff.
watch this final boss. Wait, this is not the cutscene yet. Oh. Hold up. There. I'm so good. Why does if I have the music turned off, but I guess that screws with some of the sound effects as well.
Yeah. I'm getting tired. Apparently having a fucked up sleep schedule is not the best.
Oh no shit. I am ahead of the boss. I am not supposed to be this far. It fell before he pushed in.
Let's see, what else do we have? Apart from just death and destruction, which is the usual we have here.
I would like more. I would like more blue.
Like that's the thing. The news generally involves a lot of death and destruction.
True.
What else?
Okay, there we go.
Yeah, see, like Trump wants to rescue the film industry in Hollywood
Okay.
with 100% tariffs. You're not saving Hollywood with tariffs, you're saving Hollywood with better writers and better stories and better movies with
Yep.
less budget.
Yep.
That's how you save Hollywood. But apparently not. Apparently all you do is,
Yep.
you know,
Well, you know.
you ask people more money.
Yes. Well, that's
That's how you save stuff. You ask for more money.
of course. But I think that we have completely run out for a while.
Let me look through some more. Let's see. Yeah, there is not really. Oh yeah, I know over the next couple days they are going to be looking for another pope.
Oh yeah, true.
They're going to be seeing if. Have you seen? I don't know if everybody has seen this, but the image of, like the image like the White House put out of Trump as pope.
No. Wait. Did he do that?
Like I don't know I don't remember what platform it was, but apparently a channel has put out the of course it's a channel called The White House, which the official one has basically been putting out those images. I think they even are AI. Not sure, but you know, who let the grandpa in the government again?
Uh,
Because you know, I don't think we should allow 80-year-olds within the government. Because if you
yeah.
know, age and being up to date on current events and all those things.
Actually, when are we gonna
But
do like those presentations that we were gonna do presentations on it as well?
yeah, we should do them at some point.
So I do have some interesting topics that I think I could talk about.
I'm not sure if it's a smart idea to go for the entire history of Volkswagen, considering where they started.
Well, you could.
Well, are you sure?
I don't know.
Because
How long would it take?
probably half an hour to an hour if we want to go into detail.
I see.
Because, you know. Volkswagen kind of started within the 1940s in Germany.
Oh, yeah. Actually, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So I'm not sure if YouTube would allow it.
Probably. I don't know.
Because of reasons. With the angry mustache people, or mustache man, being there.
I
And
don't
also, weird enough, Porsche as well. The guy from the sports cars, those cars,
Mm-hmm.
is apparently the same dude that kind of partially stole the idea for the Beetle.
Hmm.
But yeah, I'm not going to go into too much detail right now because that would mean I would be encroaching my time if I actually go with the presentation.
Yeah.
Or I start doing a Stormworks tutorial.
Like, I would do it, like, either about Griffith or about Near lore or about God.
Wait, you know what you could do actually?
Mm.
And it would be kind of funny. Do a tutorial.
What? On what?
Just tutorials while doing a podcast.
What would I do a tutorial for?
I don't know.
What am I competent enough in that I can do on my,
Sekiro
like,
easy mode.
during... You don't need a tutorial for Sekiro Easy Mode.
Apparently you do.
Yeah. I just sent him, like, it's in the video, but basically no fall damage, no status effects. You barely take damage, and bosses have unreasonably low health. And then below it, I said, I do not think this is the good way to play the game. It's mostly funny if you already know the game.
Yeah, but of course, some people still won't be able to see
Oh.
the difference between them because apparently that's very, very difficult.
If you've played the game once, you know you don't insta-kill an enemy in the tutorial.
Yeah, but you know, do you realize how incompetent people are actually?
Yeah, I know.
I mean, have you seen governments?
Yeah. Yeah, I know. But I think we should wrap it up.
Do you wrap it up?
Yes.
Do you have a wrap with you
No, I don't.
so we can wrap it up?
No, I do not.
How am I supposed to wrap things up if I don't have anything to wrap it up with?
Well, you just... You're sitting there with a shirt. Surely you can use that. Like your vest or whatever. You have a little cloth in your pocket.
You think I'm gonna use that for? They're gonna ruin my suit just to wrap up a podcast?
Or you can take the little handkerchief thing.
I could, but I would be ruining. Then I would have to get a new one.
Yeah. It would also be a little difficult because I only gave you 2 poses.
Yes. So, you know,
Yeah. Well,
I
uh,
guess there's, I guess while the credits roll in the background,
yeah,
we,
exactly. Shout out
we,
shout out to Tyler Hunter for being in this podcast.
we do have only one thing left to say, and that is we're not experts.
But we were here.